So, Donald finally emerged from whatever cave he was hiding in over the last few days, and he's exactly the same. I know. Shocking. He came out to make some big announcements that turned out to be meaningless, really. But in the midst of it all, he managed to threaten yet another blue state, Colorado this time. We'll get to that.
All right, guys, let's cut straight to it. Donald finally crawled out of hiding, and surprise, surprise, he's the same old Trump. He strutted out to make what he called big announcements, but they were as hollow as ever. And in the middle of his bluster, he went after Colorado like a mob boss picking his next target. But this isn't just about another blue state feud. This is about Mary Trump, the niece who knows his playbook inside out, and she isn't here to throw soft punches. She's here with the wrecking ball.
Hey, obviously the big story of the week, although there are many other big stories we shouldn't ignore, but, is this Epstein stuff, right? Yeah. It appears your Uncle Donald, is kind of having a baby over this. He is starting to criticize his supporters. He's angry that many parts of MAGA seem quite fixated on this. I would just love to hear your reaction to the whole damn thing.
Yeah, well, the whole damn thing is fascinating, quite frankly, for many reasons. But let's start with what, I don't know if it's the most obvious one, but it's the most obvious one to me. Donald is somebody who has lived his entire life with complete impunity. Like, he's been able to get away with everything. And he thinks it's because he's a genius, right? He thinks it's because he's so all-powerful.
Listen up. Donald's always been surrounded by critics, but when it comes from family, that's a demolition no spin doctor can patch up. Mary Trump doesn't deal in rumors or recycled headlines. She saw the dysfunction from the inside, the cracks in the Trump mythology long before the world did. Her roast isn't comedy. It's an autopsy. She rips open his carefully staged persona and shows us the fragility, the insecurity, the lies, all stitched together like a cheap knockoff suit. And folks, once Mary starts talking, the mask falls fast.
Can manipulate people to do whatever he wants them to do. But the truth of the matter is, it's because he's been enabled his whole life by people like my grandfather and others. And now, most recently, of course, it's been the Republican Party and, of course, his followers. What he doesn't understand is that he can't turn off the switch. Now, I understand why he would think that, because, again, he has gotten away with everything pretty much.
Now, here's the kicker. Mary hits him where it hurts most, his obsession with image. She says Donald never measured worth by achievement, only by appearance. He wasn't chasing excellence, just the illusion of it. That's why everything he's ever touched, Trump Steaks, Trump University, Trump Water, was branding over substance. It didn't matter if it failed. As long as his name glowed in gold, he called it success. Mary strips away the myth of self-made genius and exposes him as what he really is, a marketing gimmick in human form.
Or at least should be a major setback for Donald's ongoing plan to take over any cities that don't abide by his rules or agree with him or support him. But here's the problem, and this is something we've come up against time and time again. Courts take time to render their judgment.
All right, guys, let's get real. Trump's skin isn't just thin, it's paper. Mary dissects the cruelty he hides behind, showing how he confuses mockery with strength. Every insult he hurls isn't dominance, it's desperation. He lashes out at comedians, politicians, even his own supporters, not because he's powerful, but because he's terrified of weakness. To him, empathy equals failure. Kindness equals defeat. Mary flips the script. Those loud insults aren't weapons, they're shields, covering up a fragile man who never grew past the scared kid desperate to avoid being laughed at.
So it seems that this is the pattern. A blue state is already on the enemies list because blue states don't support Donald Trump. They don't vote for him. We hate his policies and we hate him. But sometimes it's a new thing that draws his ire, or I should probably say, becomes a handy excuse for his increasingly fascistic and hostile behavior towards blue cities and blue states.
And here's where it gets brutal. Trump brags about being a winner, but Mary lays it bare. Every win is exaggerated, every failure denied. He calls himself a mogul, but she reminds us he's the guy who could bankrupt a casino. He screams, self-made billionaire, but she shows the receipts, over $400 million handed down by his father. That's not hustle. That's inheritance dressed up as genius. Mary calls him out like the spoiled kid flipping a Monopoly board. When he loses, then demanding everyone call him champion anyway.
All of a sudden, there's nothing to see or hear move along. It isn't going to fly, and it is kind of fascinating that is this issue. But I think he does not know how to process it at all, because unbelievably, for those of us who believe in accountability and who believe he's done horrible things for decades now, he cannot process the fact that he doesn't control this.
All right, let's talk loyalty. Trump demands it like a king, but Mary exposes the fraud. His loyalty isn't mutual, it's servitude. Praise him and you're in. Question him and you're out. He surrounds himself with yes men, mistaking flattery for friendship. But here's the irony. Mary points out that true loyalty can't be bought with fear. It's earned with respect. And that's something Donald never understood. In the end, his so-called circle of trust is nothing more than an echo chamber, drowning reality in applause he's addicted to like oxygen.
Colorado got singled out because it has mail-in voting. Illinois has been singled out because Governor J.B. Pritzker has been very vocal about Donald and his fascism. New York has been singled out because it's New York, and we've known for decades exactly who this pathetic moron is.
Mary doesn't stop there. She tears into his obsession with women, exposing the fragile ego behind the bravado. She calls it out for what it is, not power, but insecurity. He flaunts beauty like trophies, but it's all camouflage, a desperate attempt to disguise the chaos inside. His need for applause, his endless lies, his constant spinning of myths, it all ties back to the same fear. Donald isn't terrified of losing power. He's terrified of being ordinary, forgotten, just another man who never lived up to the hype.
Do you think that his lashing out at his supporters is just a sign of his inability to comprehend this pushback? And that's why he's kind of lashing out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's also, it's insecurity, right? It's his understanding on some level.
And finally, the knockout punch. Mary Trump doesn't just roast her uncle, she annihilates the empire he pretends to rule. She exposes him as a man built on lies, propped up by enablers, terrified of silence because silence means irrelevance. Every insult, every rally, every tweet. It's not leadership. It's a performance, a tragedy staged by a man who never grew out of needing daddy's approval. By the time Mary's done, the emperor isn't just unclothed. He's stripped, down to the scared child still begging to be noticed. And that, folks, is the brutal truth.
One of the things he's most afraid of is being found out, to be to have people understand that everything about him that's projected publicly is based on a myth, that he's literally nothing of who he claims to be. He's nothing other people have purported him to be, starting with my grandfather, who's the man responsible for having created this myth.
That was the impetus behind my working with the New York Times in 2017 in 2018, I handed over about 40,000 pages of documents that helped them put together a story that revealed the lie behind, Donald's claim that he was a successful self-made businessman. When in fact, my grandfather, over the course of Donald's lifetime, gave him like $410 million. Like even I could probably be successful.
Yeah, but he screwed it up.
I'm pretty sure a potato could be successful with $410 million.
But Donald wasn't. So there you